Greetings, I'm Mistress Arielle de and today I'm preparing a Spanish dish called Tarta de Santiago, or St. James cake. This is a delicious almond sponge cake that is closely associated with Santiago de Compostella, located in the region of Galicia in northwest Spain. Legend has it that the remains of the Apostle St. James are buried in the cathedral here, and for 1,000 years pilgrims have flocked to his shrine via the Camino de Santiago. The cakes are usually marked with the cross of St. James and can be found in numerous shops along the way. Of course, you don't have to be a peregrino to enjoy Tarta de Santiago. It's a perfect cake to serve with coffee or after a holiday meal. The recipe I'm making is from food writer Claudia Rodin. According to Rodin, Tarta de Santiago most likely started out as a Passover cake. In the 12th century, Sephardic Jews, fleeing the Berber Almohads, brought the cake north to Galicia from Andalusia. As the Catholic Reconquista expanded over the centuries, not just Muslims, but Jews were expelled, killed, or forced to become conversos, converts. Sometimes conversos would promise their daughters to a convent in order to gain favor with the Catholic Church. And it is theorized that some of the almond-based sweets that the nuns of Spain and Portugal are famous for have their roots in Sephardic cooking. The first step to making an almond cake is to blanch your almonds. Here's my ½ pound of almonds, and I have my electric tea kettle at the ready. So now I'm going to pour water all over them. Let them sit for a minute or two. You don't want to let them sit too long or they will turn to mushy almonds. That's a little bit tricky. You obviously don't want to stick your finger in there, but you're going to have to take them out in about a minute. So, I'm watching my clock. In the meantime, I'm going to continue with zesting. Now, this is actually a ginger grater, but it works well enough. If you've never zested citrus, what you want is the colored part, not the white, which is the pith. So be very careful not to get overly enthused. If you hit fruit, you've gone way too far. So just scrape a little at a time. And the recipe requires 1 orange and 1 lemon, which makes it easy enough. See, it just comes off the back like that. So, watching my almonds. They're just sitting there. Now, the point of this whole business of the hot water is that it will loosen the skins. And then you put cool water on, you drain them, you put cool water on, and then the skin should slip off easily. If they do not, you will have to give them a little bit more hot water treatment. Hopefully we will not have to do that. So, okay, that's enough of that. Let's poke around and see what's going on with the almonds. Something to drain with. Here we go. All right. Now let's take this out, put it to the side. Let's see what happens. I did have a little bit of ice in this pitcher earlier. Hopefully this will cool it enough to do the job. There we go. Alright, are they going to slip off? Just put them in there, see what happens. Put them off enough to touch. Are they going to slip off? Maybe? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. See that? There we go. So, I'm going to ditch this extra water. So, I will just Get back in here. And let's start working on these almonds. There we go. All right. Well, this takes a little bit of time. So, if you have a buddy, make them do this. Now, if you're not careful, you can put an eye out if it slips off too easily, like that. But you get the idea. This is something you can do ahead of actually putting the recipe together. Once I have gotten all these peeled, we're going to go to the food processor and grind them up. If one doesn't want to come off all the way, you can just help it out a bit with your fingernail. Here we go. All done. Ready to go. Now, the next step is going to be grinding these in the food processor. I'm going to finish up zesting, and then we'll go on to our next step. Now, it's time to grind the almonds. Alright, there's the escapees. Okay. Now I'm going to pulse a little at a time. Now if I see that the stuff in the bottom is starting to get smaller, then that is my cue to stir this around. I'm going to see if I can do it without removing the lid, because I hate messing with that. So, okay. Alright. I think I'm going to have to, let's hope I can get this thing back on. It is challenging for my weakling self. Okay, when in doubt, just stick it up and move it around. Okay, let's try this again. Try this again. Perfect. Okay. Now you can see that the ones at the top are a little bit chunky style, and I know some people like their peanut butter chunky style, but that's not what we're about here. I'm looking for what's going on in the corners where it's a little bit smaller. You don't want to turn this into almond paste. You want a little bit of chew. So not big chunks and not flour. Okay, so we're going to keep working on this. All right. Astray. Getting better. Anyway, you get the idea here. I'm starting to see smaller particles in the bottom. So, rather than wrestle my food processor again, just take it from me. You just mess with it and you'll get it to a small, very small granular kind of crumbly consistency, which I will show you in just a minute. We're almost there. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see this. It's got, you can feel little bits of almond in it, but it's still pretty light and crumbly. And that is what you want. So, on to the next step. Here I have the 6 egg yolks and the sugar, and I am about to beat this until it's pale and smooth. So this goes on for a few minutes, so I'll let you take a pause and then I'll come right back. You'll notice that it's already starting to look a little more pale, not so yolky anymore. But I'm going to give it a little bit longer. Okay, you can see that it's lightened up considerably. And now, time for the zest. And almond extract. The recipe says 4 drops. Well, I don't have an eyedropper and I like almond extract, so I'm going to go for the big fat 1/4 teaspoon. And that looks like a bit of an almond skin. They get everywhere. Let's see. Okay, that looks sufficiently smooth and mixed. The next step is to fold in the ground almonds. I don't like wasting any batter. I may well eat raw batter off screen. I know it's bad for you. I'm still here. Alright, so set this aside. Okay, now if you're not familiar with the term folding, what you need to know is it's an over and under sort of thing. You just sort of mix it in gently. Like this. Kind of lift and toss. Well, not toss, that would be out of the bowl, wouldn't it? But you're trying to get all this almond goodness mixed in. Of course, I just keep working it in like this. And in case you're wondering, yes, it smells wonderful and citrusy and almondy. Now, after I have this mixed up, we're going to grab the other mixing bowl with the egg whites. Now, I like to make sure that my egg whites are, I won't say necessarily room temperature, but they need to be warmer than your refrigerator. So you crack their eggs while they're fresh out of the refrigerator so the yolk will hold its shape and not get smushy and runny. And then you let your whites sit out for a little bit before you make a meringue out of them. All right. Okay. Where are my egg whites? While I'm at it, I'll go ahead and get the balloon whisk. All right, if you're not familiar with that, I'm trying not to put my hands on it too much because when you make a meringue, you do not want any grease in it. Okay. In fact, what I do when I'm getting ready to make any sort of meringue is to wash everything. I know it's already clean in the cabinet, but I wash it a second time and I degrease it. I literally make sure it's squeaky clean because just a little bit of grease can deflate everything. So we get this attachment on. And lift up. And here we go. It says stiff peaks. How cool is that? Okay, you can see it's starting to foam up a bit, get lighter in color and more opaque. Notice that it's starting to hold its shape as well. I'm going to stop for a second, see how it's doing. Not bad. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you this. Okay, when you tip it sideways, is it moving? It's not moving. It is stiff. There you go. Okay, next, take your egg whites, fold them into your batter. Now, this batter is much thicker, and we're going to try to be gentle. We don't want to knock all the air out. This is a sponge cake. It does not have any of the usual leavenings you would expect, like baking soda, baking powder, yeast. All right, this is so pretty. I love, love, love making meringue of any sort. Okay. Here we go. So I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. Do my best not to crush the fluffiness. Yes. You have a thick spot of batter, just move over to it and bring it around. Almost there. Also, at the very bottom of the bowl, sometimes you'll have a little batter that gets stuck. So make sure you reach, scoop from the bottom and just pull it up like this. I like to gently scoop all the way around and see if I find a thick spot. Make sure it's mixed all the way. And that looks like it's just about ready to pour in the pan. Here's my pan. It has been buttered and floured. It is a non-stick springform pan. The recipe calls for 11 inch. I think this is 10 and a half, 10 or 3/4. It could be a, conversion metric to inches sort of thing, but this works perfectly. Sometimes I will put a piece of baking parchment in the bottom and grease and flour it as well, so I can slide a spatula under the parchment if I want to get the cake out, or you can just use the base. All right, that looks ready to go. I'll take it to the oven and check back with you in 40 minutes. And here is our Tarta de Santiago, fresh from the oven. I have removed the Tarta de Santiago from the bottom plate of the spring form. Now only one thing is left. We need to put a little powdered sugar on. So instead of using the traditional St. James cross for Christmas, I have created a snowflake. See how that works. So you take your powdered sugar, and hopefully the stencil will lay flat enough. And then you just tap like this. Now, if you decide to do your own research on Tarta de Santiago, you may also find it listed as Tarta de Santiago. Both are correct. In Spain, in general, it's tarta, but in Galicia, it is torta. They have their own dialect. Do I have enough on here? There's never too much sugar, but we'll keep going with this. Okay, well, that's probably enough to make a pattern. So let's see if I can take this off. Pretty close. Made a little bit of a splatter there, but you get the idea. There it is with a snowflake. And now for a sample. Tarta de Santiago. And I will accompany it with a very traditional drink, Porto. Sometimes when you order your St. James cake in Spain, they will bring you a complimentary glass about this size and shape. So if you're not feeling like coffee, go for the port. Yes, it was wonderful. Happy holidays.